Hi, everyone. Welcome to Turning a Moment into a Movement. I am your host, J Love, and I represent the Justice for Gerard Movement. And Gerard is my son who was wrongfully convicted of a crime he didn't do, innocent, and he went to prison for that crime. And because of the journey with him and all the people I met on that journey, I decided to create this platform, this online movement called Turning a Moment into a Movement, where we come here on every Fridays to talk about wrongful convictions and injustice. So thank you for joining us. Our mission here at Turning a Moment into a Movement is to bring awareness to the wrongful conviction of Gerard Haycraft and all others who were wrongly convicted over sentence, mentally ill, and medically frail in our communities, to inspire, organize, and educate all communities about the need to disrupt systems, policies, and patterns of the criminal legal system that leads to wrongful convictions. And that's why we come here every Friday. So thank you for joining us. It's it's been a pretty great day here in Michigan. I don't know about anywhere else, but it's a little sunny and warm, and so I'm in a great mood to get these conversations going. So thank you. I see Alexandria is here, so let's bring her on. Hi, Ali. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing good. Glad to be
That
here.
I'm glad that you're here. Introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are and what it is that you do.
Yes, my name is Alexandria Hughes. I'm a mental health and human rights activist. A lot of my work, pretty self-explanatory, focused on mental health, and making it where those are who are in the legal system. That's majority of folks who have mental health needs, substance use, and people in poverty. And my work is about making sure, we're not incarcerated for just being ourselves, and
Hmm.
then also making sure those with mental health needs and substance use issues get the right help. I'm all about advocacy for that, policy for that, doing the work physically, on myself mentally every day. Um, yeah, it's a bit about me. Y'all see me out here in these community orgs. Um, I'm just happy to be able to be part of the work and
I'm so
build with so many people.
right. And you really out here, Allie. I see you everywhere. Do you have something coming up, don't you?
Yeah, so not directly me, but I've been promoting this because this is one of partnered orgs. I do a lot of partnering with a lot of work with Michigan Liberation. I have Corporate Foundation for Mental Health, but Care Based Safety is hosting a police alternatives 101 event. And the work they do is very similar to the work I do with those orgs I just named. So they are partners in this work. And they're it's a workshop to educate you on what alternatives exist so that you don't feel like you have to just rely on calling the police. There are other services you can call, and that's all about educating each other, making sure we have these resources so when we go through things, we can rely on.
Right. I know it's important to have alternatives because some things are not, I mean, some things that people go through are not always police encounters. They don't have to have if we have other resources for people. Um,
Yeah, and
people
I'll
won't
drop it too in the Facebook Live as well, the registration details.
Right. I think that's important because we need to know what other resources that are out here that will help people so they won't automatically be criminalized for being sick or having, other issues that's going on. So thank you. I appreciate you dropping that link. And I'll also put it in the Justice for Gerard Movement page. So if anyone wants to get that information, it'll be on your page and also on the Justice for Gerard page. So thank you, Allie. Hey, Ravitia.
Well, hello everyone. I apologize for being behind schedule. Had
You
some
cool.
unexpected emergencies happen, and in view of all that, I'm out here doing what I do in regards to the choice zone and with mental health. And so I'm so excited to be here this evening and to have these conversations. Um, and just so glad about what my sister Alexandria has just talked about. And um, these are the conversations that are coming up. And I believe that we are at a pinnacle in this time in our history that people are deciding to say there's got to be another way. And
Mhm.
um, so I also work with Michigan Coalition for Human Rights, and then we're having the upcoming policing conversation too. Not just conversation, but like Alexandria talked about solutions. They're finally talking about, um, and that's going to be at Wayne State. And I do not have the date yet, but when I do, you guys will be the first. And I'm sure Alexandria will know about that too, and may become a part of that conversation as well as Jay. Um, I've been putting you guys' names out there because it's important that everybody come together, especially when you have key leaders that are going to be at events. They need to not only hear from us, but they need to have action items. Um, Now, I'm not sure because I popped in late, but I know the Chicago task force that has been implemented and some of the other changes that have occurred in Illinois, those people will be at that event also. Right now, I know in the city of Detroit, they have had a lot of opposition with having real transformative task forces actually implemented within the city. So these are the conversations. I'm so glad that we're a part of it. And it's going to help us the more we have not only the conversation, but the solutions. It will
Mhm.
help us to stop wrongful convictions, and that's the reality of it. Um, so I'm excited to be here this evening, no matter what I'm doing all the time. I'm motivating, educating, and encouraging everybody to access the kingdom of God that's within them by allowing spirit to have complete control of your life, doing right mind and right action, and not working outside of yourself, looking for, how to please everybody else, but please the inside of you. Be the best you to yourself. And so I'm so happy to be here tonight amongst my sisters. And I know my
Yes,
brother's
Reverend
coming in
Tia.
too. I think I heard his
Yeah,
voice earlier.
yeah, he's coming. Reverend Tia, you have something on the 19th and the 21st.
I do, I do. Yes, thank you, Jay. I will, and I'll drop it in the comments. The flyer for the 19th, and for the one for the 21st. Do I have that? I will. Uh, that might be ready. If not, if I don't have it in my email, I will make sure that you get it and you can add it to the website. But on the 19th, we are talking about when the KKK, when there's a flag, a KKK flag shows up next door, that's going to be out at Grosse Point Library on the 21st. That's on Monday. And the Huntington, I want to say civil rights. I want to make sure I have the wording right, but there is that Michigan Roundtable has initiated. Um, their exhibit will be there also. I think that starts at 5:30, and the event actually begins from 6 to 8:30. So I will be the MC that evening there in Grosse Point, and like I said, I'll have the flyer for you there. And this is not just a conversation. The family that was targeted eventually moved, and so we're talking about segregation, housing segregation, and the fact that the person who put the flag up is still there. They're still in their house. Nothing has been done. Things are going to be done, but this is why we can't let anything slide. We can't just keep going on as if it's okay, because it's not. And
Mhm.
so I'm so glad to be a part of that. And then on the 22nd, which is Wednesday, actually, Jay Love and Andrew Seidel will be coming through Michigan Coalition for Human Rights, and that will be to talk about their endeavors and their initiatives that they're doing, and they'll be on the Michigan Coalition for Human Rights platform talking about that. And we'll be reaching out to people. So if you want to talk about your spill, we're having candid conversations. It's important to keep conversations going and let people know on every platform you're on what you're doing so that people can be a part of it. So thank you so much, Jay, for remembering that. And I'll put that flyer in there for you.
Oh, you're welcome, Reverend Tia. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So let's bring on Attorney Matt. Hey, Attorney Matt.
Much love and respect. Much love and respect. Oh, beautiful black women. Oh, Lord, 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 some beautiful black women on this show. You know, it's a beautiful thing. You know, I'm glad. Look here. I want people to be included, but I'm glad to be one of the only men on here. You know, y'all stay out. You know, do your own thing. You know, I'm doing mine. I'm just fine, y'all. And I want to let you know, in all the presence of these black queens, I'm feeling real good about myself tonight. So it's all good. It is all good. So God bless y'all, you know. Well, for some of you who don't know, maybe y'all in, I don't know, Saudi Arabia or Alaska somewhere, Dr. Hugo J. Mack here, Esquire. So glad to be with y'all today. And I always say, of the 47,000 lawyers in the state of Michigan, I'm the only one who is not parachuting down from heaven to be with y'all tonight, but coming up from hell through the power of God in Jesus Christ. Amen. Understand what it's like to pay a debt not owed. Understand what it's like to be separated from my family. Understand all these things because I've experienced them. And when I hear about people that have been exonerated, my heart rejoices because I remember the hundreds of men that I left behind in the penitentiary, men that I would stake my life on, did not deserve to be there, but are still there. And some of them have died. So one of the reasons I'm so proud to be involved in this movement is in memory of them. You know, they have a saying in the military, we don't leave nobody behind. Well, we need to have that in the Justice for Gerard movement and fighting wrongful, sinister convictions, that we're not going to leave nobody behind. And my dedication is not to stop this fight as long as the Lord give me breath until every man or woman that's wrongfully convicted and overly convicted. That's another part of my fight. You know, being a practitioner, criminal defense attorney, in and out the courtroom for 40 plus odd years. It's not just a matter of a person being wrongfully convicted. You can be overly convicted, bullied into a plea agreement, for example, you know, because of the habitual offender statute. So these things are real. These things are all very, very real. You know, and I'm proud to say, unlike some other colleagues, I don't really have traditional hours from like 9 to 5. I think I'm the only lawyer in Southeastern Michigan. My hours are like from 8 p.m., you know, to 12:30, 1 o'clock a.m. So, because that's the clientele that I serve, you know, and, you know, and I tell people all the time, you know, some people went to law school with me and they go to these forums and like when I was running for prosecutor, they say, where'd you go to school? Harvard, magna cum laude, you know, Yale, summa cum laude. I'll tell people in a minute, University of Toledo. Thank you, Loudy. So it's good for me. So I don't have no problem with that and acknowledging God to help me because Lord knows I couldn't have done it by myself. Lord knows I could not have done that by myself. So proud to be here. A lot of my practice is representing people that have fallen through the cracks, particularly women, and unfortunately women of color disproportionately, who the safety net has just let go. You know, it really amazes me, J Love and crew, when I hear, well, let me just put this the right way. People of privilege get on to a cause like, well, you know, this week we're going to work about the black women that's been abused and violated. Next week we can go on to the whales. Next week after that, you know, we're going to go on to oil spills. But you see, when you're really working with people and these women, black women in the community, you know, helping them get jobs, look after kids, stopping them from domestic violence, trying to keep them out the penitentiary, keep them out of jail. That's where the rubber meets the road right there. See, that's where the rubber meets the road. And that's what God has called me to do. And it's not just black women. It's a whole bunch of white women too. You know, white women have been abused too, you know, so I'm not saying that. I'm saying disproportionately, though, black women have carried the brunt of the criminal justice system. And unfortunately, black and white women are proving themselves to be just as ignorant and stupid as men. because the ratio of women going in penitentiary is climbing on up there. So, I'm not sure what it is, but be careful in wanting to prove yourself as tough as a man, because, the law got a spot for you too at Huron Valley facility. Yes, they do. Oh, yes, they do. So in any event, J Love and crew, this is where I'm at. So proud to be here and, ready to go on. And well, I guess y'all know what's coming next. You see, every week, J Love, when I try to back out of this, you and the public will not let me back out of this. So I didn't stop fighting it, So look here, all y'all understand this. If you find yourself on Trouble Boulevard, push, pull, tow, drag that hoopity to Mack Street. And when you're there, park in my virtual underground garage. Then sign says free parking, not valet parking. Whatever you do not leave your keys in the car. Okay, in my parking lot, do not leave your keys in the car. So now when you're there, I want you to get your cell phone and call the Freedom Line, 734-239-3118. The Freedom Line, 734-239-3118. The Freedom Line, 734-239-3118. Because J Love and all Mr. and Miss America ships at sea, hmaclaw.com is your hookup. hmaclaw.com is your hookup. hmaclaw.com is your hookup. And you know what, J Love? I know people be writing you and putting a note all on your car and all that kind of stuff, stopping by your house, asking you, just throw that crazy lawyer off the show, J Love. Throw him off the show, And see, I want to let you know, J Love, I've had the haters come on me getting bold these days. But as I've told you before, J Love and Tia and Dr. Hughes, I got a message from my late cousin Bernie. I ain't scared of none of y'all. So you see, we're not worried about them people, J Love. We're not worried about them people. So, J Love, and while people get a chance to write down hmaclaw.com, and while people get a chance to write down the Freedom Line number, 734-239-3118, with the theme song that I've acquired as of late called Return of the Mac, I'd like y'all to excuse me while I do the boogaloo. And J Love, we never forget Reverend Tia, my co-partner, excuse us with the Batman. And reintroducing for some, introducing first time for others, our newest late Jans, called the Janus, German Smurf. Okay, thank you very much. So, J Love, I just want you to know, I know when people try to get you to kick me off the show, but J Love, if you should ever do the unthinkable, you know the first thing I'm gonna do, J Love? You know what I'm gonna do?
What's that, Turdy Back?
I'm gonna go outside in the rain, J Love. I'm gonna go out in the rain. Now, J Love, you and Alexandra Reverend Tia say, well, now why would Attorney Mac go out in the rain? I'll tell you why. Cause raindrops that hide my teardrops. And no one would ever know that I'm crying, J Love, crying. Deep down, I'm dying. But I'm a man with pride, y'all. And to the world outside my tears, I refuse to explain. I just wish it would rain, J Love. I just wish it would rain. And J Love, before you would ever even consider doing that, I just want you to remember the words of my great friend Morris Day. Ain't nothing worse than rejection, J Love. Rather than kick me off the show, I'd feel a little better if you just slap my face. So, J Love, I want you to understand these things, how important this is to me. And J Love, I know in conclusion, people would ask you, J Love, does that man really mean that stuff? He sure sound crazy to me. I got a message for y'all. You're damn right I do. You're damn right. I mean every word of it. And J Love, I want you to understand something. This announcement, self-serving, unapologetic, was brought to you by Dr. Hugo J. Mack, Esquire, P30997, the one true king of Russia, Scotland, and Lower Harlem. I love you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you, Attorney Back.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we have guests today. We do have guests. She's been here before. She's been here twice. Miss Marvina Haynes. First, I wish I had an applause button for you, Marvina.
Hello, everyone.
But-
Thank you so much for having me back. I really appreciate that. Everyone looks wonderful, and happy Valentine's Day to everyone.
Oh,
Oh,
thank
thank you. Thank you.
you, Marvina. Marvina, have you been back since Marvin been home?
Have I been? I can hear you.
Well, you haven't been here since Marvin's been home, have you?
No, I haven't.
So Marvin is home, everybody. Living his life. He's working. I've been seeing him, on Facebook and posting like he's just moving right along. I'm so happy for your family, for you, and for Marvin. That has been a journey for you.
Yes.
So gotta give you another hair, girl.
Yes.
So Marvina, introduce yourself to everybody just in case people are here that never met you, heard from you. Tell them where you're from, what you're doing, the name of your organization, everything, Marvina.
Okay, thank you so much, Jayla. Stop making me blush.
Your mic is low, Marvina.
I said thank you so much. I gotta get through this podcast. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, my earphones just went dead. I apologize about that. My name is Marvina Haynes. I'm the founder of Minnesota Wrongfully Convicted Judicial Reform. I'm also the sister of Marvin Haynes, who was just exonerated December 11th, and who had spent 20 years wrongfully incarcerated inside of Minnesota prison. Um, and so our organization, our mission is to address, educate, and bring grassroots, community-led reform surrounding wrongful incarceration. And we did bring a special guest today,
Yes.
Tyree Johnson.
I'm gonna bring him on.
Okay.
There he is.
And
Tyree.
Tyree, he's the family of one of the folks that our organization support, Joseph Washington. How you doing tonight, Tyree?
Hello, everybody. I'm on my way home. I'm about 5 minutes from the house. I'm in the car right now, but I'm doing great tonight. Doing highly blessed and favored by the Lord. How about yourselves?
Amen. Amen.
Hey, we're great. Welcome. We're glad that you're here. And you have a journey, and I want to play that video. So while you're driving home, Tyree, I'm gonna play the video. Is that okay, Marvina? Or do you want to tell a little bit about this before I play the video?
Tyree, you want to speak a little bit towards Joseph?
Okay, yeah. So on November 28th of 2020, my cousin Joseph Washington was in a situation that occurred, started in Lakeville, Minnesota, and ended up with him being shot by St. Paul police in St. Paul over off of Rice Street. In this situation, man, this young man was he was shot. He was bit by the dog. He was unarmed, and he was scared for his life, man. He didn't know what to do. I'm just really trying to bring light to this situation. Not only was this done to him, there's plenty of other black folks that have this same situation that has occurred to them, and they just need to know that there's people out here that's ready to speak for them and are ready to go to bat for them. And yeah, this incident occurred November 28th, 2020. If you guys want to play the video, man, yeah, this video hurts me every time I hear the pain in his voice, and seeing that he was attacked actually like that as an unarmed black man, So
Okay, I'm gonna play the video, you guys.
New information tonight about 5 officers involved in a shooting in St. Paul on Saturday. We know that 3 of the 5 officers have been with the department for at least 6 years. Sources confirmed to KARE 11 that the officer who shot a man has been fired. According to the BCA, only 1 officer fired his gun, and that was Anthony Dean. All this comes as St. Paul police released body camera footage of the incident. Danny Spiewak walks us through what happened. Danny?
Well, Julie, St. Paul Police Chief Todd Axtell wouldn't actually say publicly, at least, whether he fired the officer or not, but he did say earlier this afternoon that that officer did not meet the standards from the department for use of force policies. He also released about a 45-second clip of the body camera footage from Saturday night, and we do want to warn you that some of it is disturbing.
He held a kitchen knife to the female's neck.
According to police dispatch audio from Broadcastify, officers responded to the North End on Saturday after a suspect assaulted his ex-girlfriend and caused a crash. A police report shows 31-year-old Joseph Washington was wanted for kidnapping, criminal sexual conduct, and aggravated assault. The BCA says he later broke into a home in St. Paul.
Talk to that cop at Albemarle to make sure that this suspect is still armed with a knife or is not armed.
Police Chief Todd Axtell says Washington was not armed when officers found him naked, hiding in a dumpster.
Some of the video I'm going to play for you now.
Officers used tasers and a canine, but one of them also fired a gun, hitting the man twice, according to police.
And when I asked myself if the officer's actions on Saturday night were reasonable and necessary, the only answer I can come up with is no.
Chief Axtell says he disciplined the officer who fired shots, identified by the BCA as Anthony Dean, but wouldn't confirm if he was fired, even though our sources did.
I'm sorry, at this point, I'm not legally allowed to answer any questions.
Is that typical in your experience? Have you seen departments that say there's been discipline, but that they can't tell you what it is?
This is often a matter of state law.
Legal expert David Harris studies police discipline and says this information is shielded from the public in many states.
These laws that block information have the effect of breaking down public trust.
St. Paul Mayor Melvin Carter supports the chief's actions.
I appreciate the level of accountability. I appreciate the level of transparency.
The man who was shot, Joseph Washington, is still at Regents. The BCA says he's been charged with several felonies. We did reach out to the police union in St. Paul tonight, but they have not given us a response. And I also want to point out that although the BCA is handling the investigation right now, after that, the Ramsey County Attorney's Office has decided to ask Washington County and the State Attorney General's Office to review the case because they want to avoid any conflict of interest. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, Danny.
Okay. So, Tyree, he was, am I saying your name right?
Yes, you are. You are.
Tyree, okay. So, tell us a little bit about what was going on.
Okay, so it all started at around 6:15, 6:30 p.m. that night in Lakeville. Joseph was at his girlfriend's house, on his way packing up, moving out. They have the pictures. They have the pictures of his luggage and bags and all of that. Like he was getting packed up, ready to go their separate ways. They had ended up getting into an argument about him leaving. She didn't want him to leave or something along those lines. Well, that argument led into a whole situation where he was in the shower. He ended up leaving the house naked and getting her into the vehicle to take him to St. Paul naked. Some along the lines of why he was naked, he explains that as to why he knew that if he was to try to get dressed, he knew what type of reaction he would get out of her, and he knew that he wouldn't make it out of Lakeville if he was to try to have gotten dressed. So he got her into the vehicle. He has her drive him to St. Paul, and along the way she ends up deciding to crash the vehicle and cause the accident. While giving this whole report about the sexual assault and the kidnapping, which all of these allegations is. In a couple of seconds, I'm finna be able to point out to you guys a whole bunch of inconsistencies and stories. 5 different stories was told at 5 different times. Things were said that aren't even physically possible. You know, it's very deep, and it's very sad that St. Paul decided to suppress information instead of dropping the case and freeing this man and letting everybody know that This was just an absurd incident. St. Paul Police decided to suppress information and withhold information from the public and from attorneys that we had to dig and scour for. And once we exposed how St. Paul did this young black man, I'm just expecting and hoping for a floodgate to open up and a whole bunch of people start coming forward, ready to be spoken for. Once they know that there's people out here for them.
Wow. So in the video, there's another video that I didn't show, but as the police are asking him to come out, they're like laughing, like they're not, like they wasn't like they were upset or looking for somebody who attacked anybody. They were joking and laughing.
Yeah, it was almost like it was a game to them. Like they knew what outcome was gonna happen. They were just waiting for it to happen, which is truly terrifying in our eyes because these are the people that's supposed to be protecting us. If I get robbed by a crackhead or something, who am I supposed to call? My brothers? You know?
Yeah.
Yep, but I am officially moving into the house.
So Marvina, as Tyree is gathering his stuff at the house, so what are you guys are doing right now in Minneapolis about this?
So we are organizing a press conference to be able to continue to shine light on Joseph Washington injustice. There's so much more stuff that Tyree really didn't elaborate on, of how this was a white woman and her dad worked for the police department and he was allowed in the scene, and the story just continued to go on. And this is what we continue to see in our community. It was a white woman that did that injustice to my brother. It was a white woman that lied on Emmett Till. And so it makes me feel that the white woman is more dangerous than the white man when it comes to this injustice that has been put upon our black and brown brothers. When I first started working with Tyree and his family, it was just a few months back. I met with the his auntie first, and so she didn't have that much time, so she referred me over to Tyree, who has committed to stepping up and being Joseph's voice while he's not able to speak for himself. Um, these type of injustices takes not only our organization but like the whole community standing together in solidarity, pushing for um, different policies, legislation, community community-led reform. And so that's what we're hoping to do and bring brother Joseph home to his family.
And it goes
ahead.
also as deep as far as the so-called alleged victim writing a letter admitting that she lied about the sexual assault and everything. Continuous contact with the defendant, my cousin in this case. Yeah, this is very upsetting that was allowed to be dragged out this long. It's crazy that the justice system, is allowed to do us like this in front of our eyes, though, in front of the world's eyes.
And right now, you guys, I want you to understand that Joseph hasn't been committed of this crime. They said that they violated him because of the charges. He got violated and sent back to prison for something else that had nothing to do with this. But from my understanding, a person can only be violated if they are charged with the crime. And I know that they sent Joseph to prison so he wouldn't have access to the media. But when they sent him back to prison after violating him and beating him and having those dogs attack him like that, we know that he didn't get proper medical care.
Yeah. Still suffering from medical conditions to this day. Still has a bullet in him. Just recently had a surgery to correct something that was wrong with his stomach. Like, yeah, it's and he says that the dog bite did more damage to him than the bullets did. You know,
And I believe that because if you guys remember last time when I was on, I told you guys about this case, the Khalil Azad case that we were also working on, where the agencies of Robbinsdale, New Hope, and all of these surrounding agencies chased him down and then sent the dogs and they dismantled his face.
Reverend Tia.
You know, I'm stewing over here. I just this is horrific, and what is even horrific is to even think that just the firing of the person who fired the shots was substantial. That is not substantial. Already the person is naked. So how is he a threat? How are you naked and a threat?
Exactly.
That makes no common sense. There was no reason to be. Why were the dogs necessary? You know why? Because they're used to doing it. Minneapolis is known for over 60% of their cases involve police brutality. Over 60%. And for a person who physically represents a vulnerable population to stand up and say, I believe the police, they did their due diligence. They did not. Just because you fired somebody, that's not enough.
No.
No, not at all.
He's probably working somewhere else.
Yeah, and then relocated to be in a different state, terrorizing somebody else's city full of black people. It's just a perpetual system that just goes on in front of our face.
And you know, hearing about like Tia, when you mentioned being naked and like how is that a threat? You know, it makes me think about like that they just see us as a threat. You know, however we come, you know. And the dog and why was this necessary? That takes me back to thinking about the policies to militarize the police. Think about Clinton. Adding the dogs, adding the shields, adding the large guns, the military guns, all equipment and all tools to militarize, and that's what's still happening today. You know, I think about that officer. Oh, fire them, they go somewhere else. How about just completely redirecting funds to something better?
Right.
That would strip the militarization right away and better my life.
There's another video where you hear the officer, they sit the dog on him, they shoot him, and then they tase. And she's more concerned about the dog. Don't shoot the taser with the dog on him. She's more concerned about the dog than the human person that's naked. So he doesn't have a weapon. He doesn't have anything. He doesn't even have clothes. To fire one person where you have a whole, I think they named out 5 or 6 people there, all of them should have been fired. All of them should have been fired.
Person that released the dog, the person that fired the tasers, like once he was shot down and then the dog was on him, I mean the threat is eliminated. Threat was eliminated when you realize that this was 120-pound, 5'5" black man that was fully naked. You know, like it wouldn't have took too much to take him to the ground. Officer Dean was what about 6'2", 270 some pounds plus. You know, Wouldn't have took too much.
But Joseph did jump out of the trash can with his hands up.
His hands up.
He jumped out with his hands up, totally naked. So at that point, you can see his whole body and his hands up in the sky. And they still did that to him.
And so that tells you, people don't want to be called monsters. They don't want to be called savages. They don't want to be called totally insane. But this is the truth. Because if you can not only do these acts, but then stand there and watch, what kind of mentality is that? And at some point, we can't go around and sugarcoat this kind of behavior. You are a monster. If you stood there and that was okay to look at, you are a monster. And you're beneath that. I think monster right now is the word that I'm choosing to be nice because we're here on this podcast. But that's as nice as I can get. Savage. Insane. Non-human.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, last year there was a report the U.S. Department of Justice put out about Minneapolis, policing, saying that it was unconstitutional policing, and they're calling for like an overhaul of force. This was like the Attorney General. This was like June of last year. And if you're going to call for an overhaul, what does that mean in 2024? What does that mean for judges, prosecutors, and sheriffs of that state? What does that mean? And if the Department of Justice of the U.S. is calling for it, call for it around all 50 states. Because it's not just Minneapolis, let's be real.
That's right.
We see the cash bail system.
Yeah, and so what they called it was, so the Department of Justice came here and did something that's called a dissent decree. And what they found was Minneapolis police had used excessive force against Black people and Native Americans. And also Minneapolis city council members had also had also discriminated against Black people with the policies and procedures. And so you asked a good question. What does that mean? That has been in place for a while. They're now coming to the end of the decision making behind all of it, but we haven't seen a change in policing in our community. We just had another family that we help advocate for, Ricky Cobbs, killed on the highway by a police officer. Thankful that he was charged and he will see his day in court. But the killing doesn't stop by the police. They talk about black on black crime, but a killing is a killing no matter who is the one that's behind pulling the trigger. So we need to hold everybody accountable because God doesn't see a color.
You know what, Marvina, when people say black on black crime, it's only black on black crime people talk about. Crime comes, people of all colors and races do crime. It's not just Black people, it's people do crime, right?
Yeah.
But our tax money pay these people who are supposed to be professionals, that are supposed to go out here to serve and protect, not threaten and kill and justify what they're doing like it's nothing. It's 2024 and it's getting to be almost it's just too much. It's not even getting to be too much. It's just too much. And we're the bosses. If we're paying taxes, then we're the bosses. We should have a right to have something to say and make new policies and procedures. That's why we've been talking about qualified immunity all over the place. Even with the failure of the George Floyd policing bill, where we could have probably got some qualified immunity. nobody is really being held accountable to make these kind of things stop in our communities. Go ahead, Attorney Matt.
Well, I just wanted to elaborate some more on that issue with the police, because they don't say that around me anymore. In the circles I run in, my colleagues. See, because the truth of the matter is, what you said is true, J Love, and we cannot afford to let other people control the narrative. See, the man or woman that can control the narrative wins the argument. So what they've been able to do is deflect away from police brutality and how many black people been killed by saying, well, look at black on black crime. You know what? I get so tired of some of these white conservatives talking about Chicago. Them people wouldn't come within 100 miles of Chicago, okay? They wouldn't let their mail go through Chicago, but yet they're a damn expert on Chicago. You know, all the black people killed in Chicago. Like, what anti-violence rally have you been in Chicago? What money have you put in to support, education and better schools in Chicago? Not a dime. So, like I say, these talk shows, these local talk shows, Southeast of Michigan stuff, don't even let me on no more. So what I'm saying is that because it pisses me off, because it's a false equivalency, okay? It's a false equivalency. The truth of the matter is, more white people killed by white people. Hispanics killing Hispanics. Blacks kill blacks. Latinos kill Latinos. It's the group that you're in, okay? It's just the group that you're in. And when you compound that with a quote unquote ghetto, where black people are like herded together more, with any group, there's going to be a friction. When I hear people talk about the ghetto, I ask them, have y'all ever heard of the Warsaw Ghetto? Well, no, what's that? Well, do some research, just Google Warsaw Ghetto and you'll see the violence that was endemic when you crowd people into subhuman living areas, okay? So, we have to stop letting people equate blackness with crime. And we need to stop letting people relate police killings with quote unquote black on black crime. Because you notice they never talk about white on white crime. You ever notice that?
Yeah.
In these debates, nobody ever talks about white on white crime. Nobody ever does that. And so the thing of it is, I heard Michael Eric Dyson dismantle, I don't know if it was Rudy Giuliani or one of them, people, he was saying that, J Love, what you're saying is right. When crime happens in a community amongst members of the community, we're not paying for the bullets. We're not paying for the guns, okay? We're not paying for the vacation and the dental care for that person and their family. We're not doing that. And we're not sanctioning people with the power of life and death arm's length away. You see what I'm saying? So when they talk about black on black crime, there's no equivalency, because when the crime occurs with law enforcement, that carries with it jail, it carries with it the penitentiary, it carries with it the court system, it carries with it being separated from your family, it carries being stigmatized, it carries being a compound sentence after you get out. I can talk for an hour the hell I went through after I got out, with a law degree, okay? So imagine what it's like for somebody getting out, maybe just getting a GED or some college education, where you can't get a job, you can't get a decent place to live. You stigmatized, okay? So you're really almost forcing somebody into a lifestyle where people will try to live, self-preservation is the first law of nature. And so, I don't condone the crime or recidivism, but the truth of the matter is that whole system, and it pisses me off because I see it every day, but I have to control myself. It is specifically designed to get people in that net. And once you get in that net, you got hell to pay to get out. Almost like tuna, almost like a bunch of tuna, for Star-Kissed. One or two of them tunas make it out, but most of them is going right up in that boat and getting their heads cut off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you know what, Attorney Mack, I want everybody to take a pause and raise their right hand and say, I will not say that crazy myth of a narrative anymore about black on black crime, because it is a myth. It is not statistically proven. All it is that, like Attorney Mack has said, like Alexandria, everybody here knows, I know, that wherever you live is going to be that crime on that crime that's going to be the most in that area.
Yes.
So if you're in an all-white area, it's going to be white-on-white crime. If you're in a Latino predominantly area, it's going to be Latino on Latino crime. So we need to stop with the narrative, because what that is an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
It's an excuse for us not to read, for us not to know the truth, for us not to be involved in our own restoration, in our own healing, in our own triumph. And it's an excuse to allow an oppressor, who I don't even call an oppressor anymore, to continue what they do because they feel justified.
Right.
Yeah,
And
you know
again,
what? When I hear that black on black crime, I be like, somebody's looking for a check. It just makes me know that they're either coming in to swoop up our kids, and then it's going to be a lot of money that's going to come out, and our community is not going to get it. And we have been seeing this for the last 30 years in North Minneapolis. So you're right. We do need to make sure, and sometimes it's not even the white people. It be our black leaders that
I was
run
gonna
that
say
narrative
that.
too.
I was
So
gonna say that. Because we buy into these narratives, and we hear so much, so we buy into the programming, then we start repeating it, we start telling each other, we start fearing our own selves, and it takes away and deflect from what the real problem is. What is the real problem? Well, we need a better educational system in our communities. We need opportunities where people can get some kind of training and programming or whatever to get jobs, that they don't have to work 3-4 jobs, so somebody can be at home with the kids. If the rent is ridiculous, and the food is ridiculous, and you got to work 2 and 3 jobs to make it, everybody's making a profit but the person that's doing the work. So
yeah, it's the same system from slavery. And then even after they so-called freed the slaves, they didn't give them they didn't repair the harm that was caused. They didn't give them mental health services, none of that. So it's really deep, and it all leads back to very far, and it's crazy. It
I
breaks
think
my heart.
I think I think people get stuck on, we have this system for so long since slavery, right? And people are so stuck on reform in so many ways. When I think about the criminal justice groups in Michigan, and I look at other states, I look at the progress, I track it. And I wish there were more abolitionist criminal justice groups in Michigan, because it is not the same as reform. And I believe that we will go into the same loop of seeing the same problems over again, as long as we have all these reformist groups pushing reform instead of pushing divest invest campaigns that is doing things like what care-based safety is doing, a non-police mental health crisis response unit. There's parts of Iowa that has removed police from schools and have social and emotional health programs instead. There's other parts that have started doing that too, but we have to start doing those things opposed to just reform, which is the band-aid approach. Just cover up the issue, just slap a sticker on it, just tuck those people away in that cage, hide that problem, like not really addressing it. Making
right there,
phone calls and prison free is not abolition, it's not freedom.
right. Alex, we can look at these past elections here, and all these people who said they ran on reform platforms and what they're doing now. Little to nothing reform. It sounds good. It gets people interested. Oh, you for reform? But there's no reforming. It's the same old crap that they keep doing. They just try to put another bow on it and sell it back to you. Paint a different color, put it in a different package, and sell it back to you. The same thing. They've been reforming stuff since the 60s, and we still haven't had no reform.
Because
Tyree, go ahead, Reverend Tia.
reform means the blueprint is right. See, reform means I can still keep the structure.
Right.
And it's time for all of these structures just to come tumbling down to the nothingness that they are, because they don't serve anybody.
Right.
So, and that's why we don't do reform, because reform means that the structure initially was good, and it's not. It's not, and they're wrong to think it.
Anytime you're comfortable with sicking a dog on a naked man, shooting him and tasing him, ain't no reform in that. Do you know, every time I hear about somebody sicking a dog on somebody, that just makes me think of all the stuff that happened during the civil rights era. That's what they were doing. They was putting the dogs on people. It's just racist.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead,
And
Tyree.
and then to basically to figure out that everything is a lie and then suppress that information and just to continue with the narrative sounds like a whole lot of regression to me, instead of reform. Sounds like we're going back into what we Jim Crow law, and might as well slap a little bit of segregation into it too if we want to keep playing by these rules. I mean, I just rather blatantly tell us, hey, we don't like you, and this is what we're going to do to you, instead of trying to make it seem like, you know, we doing it to ourselves. You should
Right.
be accepting it. You do it to yourself, so you're used to it. You know, you've been whooped your whole life, so you should be uh, 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 adjusted to this whip now that you're grown. You know, it's just, and as a young black man, you know, it's like, man, how am I supposed to respond to this? You know, it makes me angry. You know, as a cousin of Philando Castile, you know, that was my first cousin. My father, he's also serving 2 life sentences on the basis of a white woman lying on him. And to have just as much evidence as I have of Joseph Washington is 10 times the amount of that my dad is supposed to have been free. He was never supposed to even have been tried, you know, but that the judge was mad that his wife had cheated on him with a black man. And then now, no, his daughter had got pregnant by a black man, and then this black man was presented in front of him as raping a white woman. He just threw the book at my dad 2 times, 2 life sentences. I'm not gonna lock you up. You're not gonna serve 1 life sentence. You're gonna serve 2 life sentences. So I grew up I've been scared of white women. I've been terrified of what a white woman can do. What a white woman can do to a black man. My dad was taken from me before I wouldn't even. My dad, he had to escape from prison for me to be born. You know, when he got taken from me, and he wasn't coming back, which when I was 8 years old. And then the story came out. You know, my mom finally told us when we was 8, 9 years old. Like, you know, yeah, your dad was on the run. He was America's Most Wanted. You know, and I remember sitting. Then it all played back. I remember being 5 years old, sitting back on the Wednesday watching the white dude come on America's Most Wanted, and then my dad popping up on the TV. But I'm like, hold on, this dude name is James. My dad name is Ronnie. I'm like, they look alike, but that's 2 different names. I remember seeing my dad on America's Most Wanted, all because of a white woman lied on him, you know. And growing after I've heard that story, I've been terrified of what the white woman can do to the black man. And then growing up in the neighborhoods I grew up in and seeing what the police was getting away with, I was extremely terrified of what the police can do to the black community. So I grew up my whole life in fear of being wrongfully convicted and pointed out as the target or as a perpetrator, and for this to have happened, to see my cousin Philando Castile tell a police officer, I have my license to carry, I do have a weapon on me, and then he gets shot to death and watch his last breath on the video, and then to turn around and then this happens to my cousin, it's just like, man, it's not too far, you know. So I'm PTSD, like the next black man watching this happen to the next black man, because this could be me.
Yeah.
It's
And that's
closer. Sorry, go ahead.
no, that's the key. What you said, this could be anybody. It can happen to nobody is exempt from this. It happened to my son. It happened to Attorney Mack. It happened to Dwayne, who's not here. He was wrongfully convicted for 35 years. It happened to Larry Smith. Like the list goes on and on of so many men who are wrongly convicted. And when we don't say nothing, when we don't do nothing, it gives them consent to continue it. And that's why it continues. Detroit been under this decree. Wasn't Detroit under this decree, Attorney Matt?
Well, yes. And the thing of it is, remember now, you had a guy that was the chief of police in Detroit, was trying to run for governor. I can't remember that man's name now. But anyway, Trumpster. Okay. And like, you know, basically a lot of the problems with the black people is caused by the black people. Okay. That's where he was coming from. But the sad part about it is, y'all help me with that man's name. I cannot remember that man's name. Was trying to run for the Republican nomination for governor, but
Scott? Oh no, that's
but anyway, y'all
Napoleon? No.
Anyway, but y'all know who I'm talking about. You know,
I know who you're talking about.
Probably 12 o'clock at night when I'm sleeping, you know, it's gonna come to me. I'm gonna yell. People say that man is crazy. You know, yell that man's name out. But what I'm saying is that the problem is when you talk about some of these black officials and stuff like that, they make it a point to try to turn it around like the problem are the victims. I got news for y'all. We the victims. You know, so when they victimize us, and look, I'm sorry, J Love. I don't mean to filibuster, but I got to say this. When you got people like Tim Scott, the senator from South Carolina, you know, thinking, now here this man is black as a mailbox, thinking that people are going to love him because he announced his campaign for president, you know, at Fort Sumter, okay, what started the Civil War. How dare you? How dare you go and talk about how great America is when them people was fighting for slavery? When you got somebody like Nikki Haley, they showed her how black she was. Trump and them, you know, calling a woman by her real name. What is it, Nimrata or whatever the woman name is? You know, making fun of the woman's parents and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, all I'm saying is we just got to stop the narrative being taken. And J Love, can I say this one more thing? Y'all are talking about police dogs. You know, I want to tell you something from the great state of Michigan. Can I read something to you for a minute, J Love?
Go ahead, Attorney Matt.
Okay. MCL, which is the Michigan compiled laws for y'all that are not, you know, from Michigan. Those are the statutes that govern us in the state of Michigan, Michigan compiled laws. Let me read you from section 750.5C. Police dog or police horse, definition violation as felony or misdemeanor. Let me just read a section to y'all, okay? A person shall not intentionally kill or cause serious physical harm to a police dog, police horse, or search and research dog. A person who violates this section is guilty of a felony, punishable by imprisonment for not more than 5 years or a fine of not more than $10,000 or both.
Mm-hmm. You done, Attorney Matt? Attorney Matt.
He's muted.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
I don't know how that happened. Did y'all hear anything what I just said? I apologize.
Yeah, you said about the last thing we heard was the fine for the killing a police dog.
Or causing injury, serious injury to a police dog. So when I hear this brother talk about they sick that dog on that man, you know what I'm saying? Now, if that man had gotten a broken beer bottle or a chain or a club or something like that to try to defend himself when that dog was trying to attack him, in the state of Michigan, he'd be charged.
Mm-hmm.
See, because that animal's life is more important to the corporate police structure than a human being. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, even in the video, Attorney Mac, of him, there's another video where they just hear the police audio. they were saying, hey, don't tase them with the dog on them. Like they were so concerned about the dog was more important than the human naked man who you're trying to detain with bullets and a taser and a dog.
That's right.
Amithia said, are you referring to James Craig?
Yes. Thank you. That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember this had to be maybe 3 years ago or 4 years ago out in Sterling Heights or somewhere where they were they got into an argument and it was like a family function. The police came with the dogs and it was some shooting and the dog got killed in the whole thing, I think. And they charged the guy, like the dog is considered a police officer.
That's exactly right.
So he was charged with the death of the dog.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And I'm just amazing.
Yeah.
Alex.
You know, I was going to say, I saw a comment in the chat just about car insurance in the city of Detroit. And it made me think about, because car insurance is high, right? And it's a lot of people who can't afford car insurance because of how high it is. That makes me think of a report Highway Robbery Detroit Justice Center did about how poor people, us, middle class and poor people, that's who's incarcerated. So yeah, we like some people want to talk about black on black crime and all that, and really, that's adds more reason to why it's silly, because these systems impact people who are poor, middle class, and then it's broken down by race, of course, and it's certain groups over others more impacted. But really, it's when you don't have the money, they throwing you in jail. If you can't afford to be free, you don't get no freedom, and that's our cash bail system. The cash bail system, it even violates our own Constitution, the Equal Protections Clause. How are some people able to be free because they can buy their freedom, but some can't? There's nothing fair about that. So even under our own Constitution, it still isn't right.
Well, it's only for people who have money, because let me see, Donald Trump has 91 charges.
That's right.
Felony charges, right?
Absolutely.
And he can go all over the United States.
Yeah.
Everywhere. He can go everywhere. But you can have one felony charge and you can't leave the state. You can't leave the state.
That's right.
Let alone if you can afford to get out.
That's right.
To be a part, to live in the state.
You lose your house. Like, there's so many things that happen to you after just going to jail. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you can't get to work, you can't afford to live, you can't afford a car insurance, like this, they keep making things to continue the cycle of keeping people in the system. And that's what we want to reform. We want to reform these. Once they get rid of one policy, they created another policy. And so that's something more current to keep you in the system, a cycle of criminal justice. I saw something on Marvina's page talking about Target. Marvina.
About Target?
Yeah.
I post a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
How Target was contributing to the criminalization
right.
Black people.
Right. I read that, J Love. I read that. Yeah. Yeah.
And so same thing with Rite Aid. Hold on, you guys. I have a video that I need you guys to see.
Howdy, America. So apparently Rite Aid has facial recognition software that they use to try to catch shoplifters and criminals. So Rite Aid's facial recognition software led store workers to falsely accuse shoppers of theft. including an 11-year-old girl and a black woman who was mistaken for a woman with blonde hair who was white, and labeled them potential criminals, and the police needed to get involved to come after innocent people. I know everybody out there is ready for the tech revolution. We want robots, facial recognition, all this, but the shit doesn't work right yet. So the store's technology humiliated customers, including children, in front of other people. So they're being sued by the Federal Trade Commission in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania in a landmark case against them. So their facial recognition system at Rite Aid misidentified thousands of people as thieves, particularly women and ethnic minorities. Now, no financial settlement has been given yet, but hopefully that'll change. But once again, stop putting AI and facial recognition shit in public if it doesn't fucking work properly. Test it en masse first, or don't do it at all. Preferably don't do it at all. Leave it to law enforcement. You're not police, you're a business. Do what you do best, which is selling shit.
You know, J Love, I just wish a man could really let us know how he felt.
Right.
And you know, nothing will happen until we get people in their pockets.
Right. Hey,
until
I'm sorry.
You know.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Attorney Mac.
Well, look, you know what? I subscribe to the MyCure newsletters, and they come out like every 3 months. On this facial recognition, can I just read you something from the state of Michigan y'all may not know about? Okay. A black mother named Portia Woodruff is suing the city of Detroit and a Detroit Police Department detective for a false arrest related to a crime involving a carjacking and robbery. Woodruff, I don't know if y'all heard about this already. Woodruff was 8 months pregnant at the time the crime was committed. The carjacking victim's cell phone was later returned to a BP gas station. Anyway, Woodruff is seeking punitive and other damages. The suit alleges the police engaged in a pattern of racial discrimination of Woodruff and other black citizens by using facial recognition technology practices proven to mistakenly characterize black citizens at a higher rate than others in violation of equal protection guaranteed by Michigan Civil Rights Act. See, so she's suing. This woman is suing because of all the crap they done put her through. And like you said, Reverend Tia, the woman is asking for punitive damages. That's the key, y'all. That's the key. That's the key. You know, punitive ass damages. You know, so I just want to let y'all know somebody's doing something on that facial recognition.
Yeah, and you see it in more stores now, even in the parking lots.
Yeah.
I was at Home Depot. They got the facial recognition cameras in the parking lots. They got it everywhere.
Wow.
So everywhere you going to spend your money, they're criminalizing you. So can you imagine he was talking about a black woman being identified as a white woman?
Yeah.
Like, how is that even working? So
and who are the people creating the AI instruments? Okay, what is the brain behind that? How do you get your suspects? So all of these questions, and you know what, things won't change until we stop allocating our monies to the places where they're doing this. When we say, okay, maybe I don't need to buy as much there as I thought. Maybe I need to rework how I'm spending my money. Go ahead, Alexandria.
One thing I can appreciate about the Stop Cop City movement is they were about like the redirecting of funds from these corporations that are supporting expansion of police militarization and, you know, creating cop communities. The cops in Atlanta, Georgia, the Stop Cop City movement, but UPS, Chase Bank were two of them that were like in support of the funding of creating a whole cop city over forest land that was keeping, you know, that was helping out the city. And that's still an ongoing thing. But one thing that those movement people are doing is showing how corporations and politicians work together
Yes.
to fund the police instead of funding the community and our very human needs.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
And they will get somebody like Kevin Hart, okay, to do they Chase commercials, okay? You know, I'm sorry, y'all. I got to say it. Know what I'm saying? They'll get him, you know, with his little Jiminy Cricket little ass up there doing them Chase commercials, you know, and stuff. So, you know, and it's you know, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. So. And what Sister Hughes said is exactly right. Then people pushing that facial recognition, then people pushing that thing, you know, cracking black folks in the head, hauling them off to jail, and all that kind of stuff. See, so you know, Kevin Hart need to rethink it. I know he's famous and all, but he's still black. He get on one of them dark roads for them police recognize who he is. They've been going upside his head right quick too. You know, before he can pull out that damn Chase card. So.
Right. And like stores like even Target, they created facial recognition programs and stuff that they use in their stores, and they share with police and agencies. So when we're talking about we just go and shop and spend all our money with the same people who are creating stuff, creating policies, because they help create policies, change, shift narratives.
That's right.
And criminalize you and take your money all at the same time.
That's right.
Ain't that something?
Hey, J Love, and no kiss, no flowers, no return phone calls, not even Valentine's cards saying I love you. Ain't none of that.
Nothing.
And we can make a difference. You know, if we stop, look, come on, people. If we stop, and I'm talking about people who have a humanitarian consciousness. If we just don't buy at these places, if you go just do a week of not buying, if everybody said, okay, from this time to this time, we're not going to buy, we're going to see what happens. And if nothing changes, we're going to extend it another week. I bet you they'll stop the facial recognition stuff. I bet you they get rid of the cameras.
And don't go and buy up the whole market because you can't buy next week. You know, I said that's what we do.
And you know what? That it does work. It makes me think of Starbucks, right? You see all the stuff happening with Israel, Palestine, and how they tried to come out and say they don't support the ceasefire, they don't support humanity for Palestinians, and you saw their stocks drop. You saw a lot of people not buying, but what you saw is Starbucks posting discount deals online. Trying to get people to buy again. It does work.
Like, I ain't buying no coffee. Right, but you know what we'll do? We're like, okay, we got to protest next week, so we're gonna go buy all the toilet paper, all the soap, all the chicken, everything, and then we are No, we have to sacrifice. We ain't gonna give them. They ain't gonna care. You done gave them all the money last week. So
Hey, J Love, I just want to throw this one thing in about Chase because I got to raise my hand, y'all. I got 3 accounts there.
I can't get over Jiminy Cricket. I'm still on Jiminy Cricket.
Oh man.
Look here, I gotta repent, y'all, because I love y'all. I gotta be honest. I got 3 accounts of Chase myself. So look, I don't want to be part of the problem. I want to be part of the solution. But I'm gonna say this part. But every time in February when I go up to the ATM machine, they got a thing on there celebrating Black History Month. I say, get out of here.
Right.
Hey y'all. And then when it's time for Hispanic Heritage Month, I don't know if that's in March or whatever that is, they got some stuff up in there, like some sombreros and shit. I said, y'all stop doing that. Stop doing that.
Oh, they think being inclusive is enough.
Right.
Diversity is not enough, baby.
No.
It's not.
They were included on those first slave ships.
Yeah,
went across that Atlantic. So when you look at the history of Chase, they were at the beginning.
I took my money out those banks and I put mine in the black bank, Attorney Mack.
Well, you know what? Seriously, on that idea, I must admit I'm wrenching. Ain't ready to buy yet, but but I'm looking at the force. But hey, look here, you sisters and brothers, keep working with me. Keep working with me, okay?
Oh no, did you see that what Beulah just wrote? AI forced her off the vehicle lot. She was going to buy a pickup truck. Who leave the lot? Oh,
who is this?
That's messed up. Yeah, they wouldn't get my money, Beulah. They would not get my money.
What? Oh, that's terrible.
They wouldn't get my money.
Ooh, that's terrible.
What lot was that, Beulah?
Yeah, we got to put them on blast.
Right.
You got to start attacking these corporations, man.
Yeah. You don't spend your money with people that treat you any kind of way.
That's true.
No.
That's true.
I'm not giving you my money.
That's true.
So there you are, Tyree.
Yeah, these people to respond. You can't even say white people. You just got 1%, because that's the people that ain't got us a part of their agenda is to take their money away from them. Hit them where they only know how to talk. Because we can do violence for violence with them all day, and they ain't gonna do nothing but send in the troops and take away from us, cut our resources off. So we know as much as they love money and to control us with money, the best thing we could do is to take away from them.
Mm-hmm.
And
we've been programmed to believe like them.
It worked with our ancestors, and it'll work now.
Right.
It got us to where we are today, and it can get us so much further if we just came together as a fist and really put some effort into hurting these people where they're gonna hurt the most is they financial institutions. Stop banking at their banks. Stop going to their stores. All the stores that they got, we got black stores in the same way. You know what I'm saying? Is if you go to these hair supply stores, 9 out of 10 of them is Asian owned.
That's true.
You can't even. It's so bad. You're not even walking into the Africans or the Jamaicans. These are Asian people in here that's telling you, that's accusing you of stealing. You know what I'm saying? They're telling you take too long and then they're selling you these bogus products. But we got black products. We got black people with the same type of businesses, that we can be reaching out to and stabilizing and really building a community and making these folks really look at us different.
Yeah.
Because doing it the violent way, that's not going to work for sure. And, trying to hold out and put the blaming finger and all we gonna do this. No, it's not gonna work. It never did and never will. We got to do like our ancestors did, and we got to me being younger, I can say like, hey, that crowd ain't so much for the pushover. We ain't gonna let them hose us down to sick too many dogs on us. But as far as that boycotting and hurting them white folks where they really that agenda, hurting them where they really hurt the most, that really did affect them a lot and got us very far in life. Look where we at right now. We just need to get further.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the whole thing of the bus boycotts.
Right.
Because they all came together and said, hey, we're not riding the bus. We're going to walk, but we're going to do, we're not getting on these buses. It brought attention and it brought some negative attention, but it was the catalyst, the push for the change. And so now fast forward to 2024, we have to figure out how we can come together and push for the change. And you're right, it can't be violent. It has to be well thought out. calculated and organized.
Mhm.
Because, you know, like my favorite person to quote, when we organize, we win. That sound riddle.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, definitely. And you know what, too? Making sure that we are looking at, you know, how collectively right where we are. Cultivate right where you are. Take your community back right where you are. And, you know, look at how do you spend money? How do you eat your food? Um, what is best for me, you know, is what I'm consuming, is that going to be good for me? You know, take a holistic approach and look at really what is it that you're really wanting, you know, because the justice really begins within your own families, within your own systems, within your own mind. And you got to want the best for you, and you got to want the best for your families. And what does that look like? What does that look like? And stop allowing what media is doing, what the people out there are doing, and what all these social highlighters, whatever they are called, I forget their names now, but all these social fabulous people and their fabulous lives, and stop buying to that. You don't know the crap that they're going through, or their mindset in wanting to dress like them and be like them and have relationships like them. Come on. Take your families back, take your mind, take your life back, like one of my mentors say, Reverend
Take your life.
Shakira, take your life
Mine.
back. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
and that
do you.
means right. You have to do something different to get something that you know, want. You can't keep doing the same thing. You got to do something different. That might mean you might need to learn how to garden. You might need to start eating healthier. You might have to start, you know, drinking water and, you know, not so many sodas. You know, different things that will empower you, empower your families. And so that's what we're
I see Attorney Mac threw down here in our own chat, Cuppy Soul Food. Woo! No, you didn't, Attorney Mac.
Yeah.
Look, Cuppies.
What is that?
They give you all the halal stuff. They give you but it's soul food on fleek, like they used to say back in the day. I gotta give them a shout out because look, me and my grandbaby, we've been to Cuppies many times. We were on one of their commercials, didn't even know.
Yeah,
but when you get,
I had to come
go
out there
ahead,
to
Attorney
Washington
Mac.
County to get some of that. So
yeah, no, look, y'all, believe me, that restaurant, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Extremely Afrocentric. You hear me? Extremely Afrocentric, and some of the nicest waitresses you would ever want to see. You know, Cuppy is a name of the lady that owns it. That's her like a nickname. Trains them waitresses well. And see, the thing of it is, we as Black people with our dollar, we have a right to be served by our dollar, okay? You know, whether the waitress is Black or white or whatever. But these folks know how to treat, and a bunch of white folks in there too, by the way, a bunch of white folks in there too, you know, which is wonderful. But I'm saying I go there every chance I get. I take my clients there because, you know, that's part of us, you know, McDonald's and Red Lobster, you know, they're going to be all right. You understand? They're going to be all right. But I cannot afford to let Cuppies go under because I'm interested in going to Red Lobster and Bob Evans or whatever the other places is, you know. And, you know, so anyway, I'm sorry, y'all. I just had to say that because, J Love, when y'all are talking about Black businesses and supporting grocery stores, we got to start doing that, you know. And even if it is at the beginning a little more expensive, okay, you know what? I'll pay another 40 cents for a hamburger at Cuppies than McDonald's. I'll do that, okay? You know, because they're going to give back to us. McDonald's going to give back to McDonald's. Okay.
Okay. That's right. That's right.
You're right.
That's right. I'll meet you at Cuppies next week, Attorney Mac.
Look here, we'll do that. We can do that. Hey, J Love, we got to get you Washington County. Got to get you
out there. Well, I want to thank Marvina and Tyree for coming on. Do you guys have any last things that you want to say before we leave off?
I just wanted to say I appreciate you guys giving me the time to speak out on my cousin's behalf. I definitely will be. You say you do this every Friday?
Yes.
I definitely will be keeping an eye out for the podcast every Friday. I love what y'all doing, and I'm hoping to y'all get more support and more momentum behind y'all, because this is definitely well needed in the Black community.
Yes. And I want you to send me like some information where we can find out what's going on, what's the next steps, how we can support here in Michigan. So as soon as you get any more information or anything, just send us more information about how we can connect also with your cousin Joseph.
Amen. All right.
Yes, for sure. I'll for sure get that to you guys.
Okay. And Marvina, you know you could come anytime you want to. What's going on?
Thank you so much, and I look forward to bringing on many other families. Our organization not only supports Joseph family, but many other families. Keeman Taylor, Deontay Bowo, Philip Vance, Willie Crump, Darnell, Darnell. I can't remember Darnell's last name, but just to call out a few of their names and uplift them while they're in there doing hard time.
Yes,
We
Lord.
hear you, we see you, and we love you. And if to follow my organization, again, it's Minnesota Wrongfully Convicted Judicial Reform. We have an Instagram page. Also, we have a website. Thank you guys again for having us, and I look forward to joining you guys again.
Yes, and I think it is important that we hear these wrongful convictions that's in other areas and other states, because we're all having the same issue. It's just in a different state. And the more we hear these stories, the more we can educate ourselves and educate others. We can have these conversations when we leave. We hoping that you guys are having these conversations with your friends and family members, because the more we have these conversations, the more information we get, the more powerful we become. So knowledge is power. And that's why we're here on Friday. So I want to thank you guys for joining us. Also, I want to also let you guys know about on tomorrow. It's the third Saturday, and it's the Survivors Speak um, support group at 10 a.m. You can connect with Survivors Speak on Facebook. And also this QR code that's on here, if you have your phone, you can click on it. And I will post it on the Justice for Gerard page and also on my page. But that's tomorrow at 10 a.m. Come and talk to others that and find support if you're going through a wrongful conviction. And also on at 1 p.m., the Survivor Speaks has the task force where we're working on creating legislation, where we're taking the next step to help impact our communities to change these things that's going on that contribute to wrongful convictions. So that's tomorrow at 1. I will, if you want to join it, there's a link there, the QR code, and I will also post this on the Justice for Gerard page as well. I want to send love to Dwayne. He's been sick and he hasn't been able to join us. So we want to send some positive energy to our brother, Dwayne. He was in prison 35 years, and we know we talk about Crystal Clark and the medical attention that happens in prison that's almost non-existent. And so with Dwayne being there over 35 years, a lot of things have been missed. And so he's growing through some things, but we're going to send him tons of love. We love Dwayne. And so hopefully he'll be back soon. And that's it. Do you guys have anything you want to leave with?
No.
You ready, Tia?
Just sending love and light to everybody and just keep doing what is right within you and cultivate where you are. We got to keep on moving up with what we are not struggling for, what is already ours. We already have triumphed, but we have to believe that. And we got to believe it now.
Yes. So thank you, Reverend Tia. Thank you, Attorney Matt. And we'll be back next week for turning a moment into a movement. Good night.
Praise God.
Good night.
God bless y'all.